Hello everybody, this is my second Dancing with the Stars commentary and my last. It's the semifinals, and I think this is a great one for me to go out on because, what I liked about this episode was that it's really hard for me to tell who's gonna win. I honestly don't know at this moment, and usually it's pretty clear cut. It definitely was last season. When the show started out, I thought that Alfonso was the clear favorite, and I thought for sure he had this in the bag. But now, all these other people are starting to creep up. Janelle and Val, Bethany and Derek, Sadie and Mark. So it's going to be interesting, and I think this was kind of the perfect setup. I mean, the closer that the couples are to each other in terms of scoring and things like that, I think the more interesting it gets. I'm going to start with Sadie and Mark because they were the first to perform. I thought their quick step was fantastic. It was very kind of confident, youthful, exuberant, everything you want to see from this couple. And I think that Sadie, ironically, has wonderful posture and hold in her ballroom dances. I actually thought that she would be better at, doing more like the Latin dances, the cha-cha, samba, jive, just because they're more kind of wild and free and that sort of thing. But I actually think that she does better in the ballroom dances. Mark, really did maintain the hold in the dance and stuck by the rules for once. Yet was still able to throw in a little bit of that funk, a little bit of that hip edge that we love seeing from him and from Sadie. So overall, yeah, I thought it was pretty stellar. And then they had their, as Tom Bergeron referred to it, the Guitar Argentine Tango, which, I thought it was good. I was a little underwhelmed by it. I like the idea of the guitar, and I like the way that they used it at the beginning. I wish, I'm kind of with Lynn on this one, I wish that they had gotten rid of it earlier because I feel like it kind of distracted from the actual dance. The Argentine Tango is about that connection between the two people, and I don't like having some sort of prop, some barrier in their way. And because as soon as they got rid of the prop, I was like, oh, okay, now we're getting to see the two of them kind of work together. And I don't think the dance was sexy or raunchy in any way, so I didn't understand the deal there. But it just wasn't my favorite dance. I mean, it was fine, just not my favorite. And then there was Tommy and Peta. They surprised me this week, actually. Their first dance was, what I expected. It was fun and eccentric, the way that they always are. I did see him improving in terms of kind of technique. There was definitely more content in this dance than there was in either of his dances last week. At least that's how it appeared to me. No matter what, as much fun as Tommy and Peta are to watch together, I felt like I always feel kind of uncomfortable watching them because he just has this tendency to either lose concentration or stamina. I'm not sure what it is. It probably has to do with age. I'm not sure. But he always starts to lose it at the end. He just starts to unravel, and he never really quite finishes a dance. And, he did the same thing in this one. And as I was watching, I thought, what? He's been in the competition this far, and he didn't think he was going to get that far, and he didn't ever quite break through and reach his full potential until they got to the rumba. And I thought, yes, this is what I've been wanting to see from them all along. I love the concept, and I love the chemistry between the two of them within the boundaries of that concept, if that makes any sense. Because when you think rumba and you think Tommy and Peta, I think to an audience that may come off as a little bit creepy and kind of strange. But with this concept, they were able to create this story that, wasn't too sexy. It had this aura of mysticism, I want to say. And, they were just able to create such a tone that you could hear a pin drop in the audience. I mean, I was just hooked on it the whole time. He finished the routine, did not mess up, and it was just seamless and heartfelt, and I think it absolutely deserved 9s. It was a very emotional dance, and the perfect dance for them to go out on. Then there's Bethany and Derek. They started out with a samba. And I wasn't a big fan of it. Not because of anything that they did necessarily, but again, it was the song choice. I thought it was it didn't work. I'm sorry, but when I think samba, I want something authentic, Brazilian. It's a party dance. You want to have that kind of wild sexiness about it. And with this one, it had more of a flavor of maybe a foxtrot rather than a samba. And again, I don't know if that is, Derek's fault, or it was probably the producers. I have a feeling they choose the songs a lot more often than the actual choreographers. What we love seeing about Bethany are all these different facets of her personality, because she started out very timid and just very shy. And, last week we got to see kind of an intimate side of her, a vulnerable side. And then she had that power and that force and that Argentine tango. So we love seeing her kind of break from her comfort zone. But with this one, it just kind of it just felt a little lukewarm to me, and I didn't feel her really pushing through it until I saw her second dance. Their contemporary routine was beautiful, and I'd probably say it was probably my favorite dance of the night. And when I watched them using that picture frame, that is how you use a prop. It was a big contrast between, you know, Sadie and Mark. I feel like with the guitar, it kind of overpowered them, whereas with the picture frame, it completely highlighted the movements, accented it, but also they were able to kind of, you know, use it, blend it into the choreography so that it was very kind of seamless. It had a very ethereal and artistic quality, and it was beautiful. Moving on to Janelle and Val. They started out with their paso doble, and you know, for the first half of the dance, I actually agreed with the judges. I can't remember which judge it was who said this, but you know, it looked like they were performing as one. They just had such chemistry about them, and they just came out with such attack and power. But I don't think the dance deserved 10s. As the dance went on, Janelle kind of started to go back into some of her old habits. And my problem with her is, well, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because she is very ferocious and she attacks a dance more than anybody else in the competition, certainly. But sometimes she overdoes it just a little bit. And I think if she would be able to pull it back, restrain herself just a bit, I think she could be unbeatable. With the paso doble, you want to be aggressive, but not so aggressive that you're chaotic. You still need to have those shapes, and it needs to have a finished quality about it. And I think that if she were able to do that and really have the polish and the finesse, that would have been a 10. But yeah, I disagree with the judges. I would have given it a 9. I actually loved their Argentine tango. We kind of went opposite with the judges. I thought that their Argentine tango was stunning, and I liked it much better than their paso doble. I think a lot of it, though, was the piece of music. I love the way that they did, you know, the string quartet was gorgeous, well, minus Val. I think they were able to kind of show a different side of what an Argentine tango can do, because it did have that fluidity and that beauty, but there was also this lovely kind of almost innocent love story going on, and they were able to combine the two, you know, this chemistry between the two of them, and this, you could really feel it this time, but yet they also did have that sharpness and that power when they needed to, so it always kind of remained true to what an Argentine tango is supposed to be. And you know, I didn't have a problem with the lifts. Okay, maybe they may have been maybe a little bit awkward going into it, but I mean, once they got into it, you know, I thought it was beautiful. And I don't understand why the judges were such sticklers about it, because I think back to, I don't remember what season it was, but the season where Katherine Jenkins and Mark Ballas had the freestyle, and it was a great freestyle, but I thought that we're so awkward going into their lifts, yet the judges didn't care and they gave them all 10s. So I don't understand what the deal was there, but I thought it was beautiful and quite unexpected. And then there's finally Alfonso and Whitney. I feel bad for Alfonso. I did in the first dance, because I could tell he was very stiff and really trying not to let the injury show, and unfortunately it did. And because the reason it did is because usually he's so energetic and he's got just such this comedic timing, and he comes alive. You're always watching him whenever he comes on the dance floor, and he's certainly one of the most talented, I'd say definitely maybe the most naturally talented dancer. But in this one, it was just, you could tell that Whitney was trying to, you know, kind of do all of these fancy moves, these turns, these gauchos, to kind of distract from the fact that he really was in pain and that he couldn't do a lot. And, you know, I hate to say that, because it's not his fault that he's injured, but unfortunately it just wasn't one of his best dances. But I'm so glad that he was able to redeem himself with the contemporary dance. With all the other contemporary routines we've seen usually throughout the season, I think Janelle and Val's, Bethany and Derek's, and all of those, they're usually more kind of, as I said, ethereal, elegant, and soft. But this one I liked. It was more kind of like Sadie and Mark's contemporary dance when they did it. It was gritty, it had drama, and I think that honestly, I never thought of Alfonso and Whitney necessarily having much chemistry between them. They seem more just kind of like they're having fun going out and dancing. This was the first time I think I really did buy the chemistry between the two of them. They really, really sold it. And they were able to, you know, pull off the dark nature of the characters that they were portraying. So yeah, it was cool. I think it was really great to see these contestants kind of show different sides of themselves. And I think a lot of them did have very unexpected moments. I mean, who was surprised that Tommy was eliminated in the semifinals? I think everyone knew he was gonna go home, but I'm really glad that he was able to go out on such a great number. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the semifinals. I think Gabegoodman09 will be back, thankfully, next week for the finals, so that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm glad I got to do this. It's been a time and a half. Catch you guys later.